Alright, if you haven't used Onshape or CAD a lot, this first CAD sketching practice might be a little bit tricky. So I just want to walk you through this, give you a couple tips and tricks that'll make this a little bit easier. I've got the assignment pulled up on one side of my screen, Onshape pulled up on the other side. Makes it easy to compare the two. First thing I'm going to do is create a new document. I'm going to call this CAD Sketching Practice. Good idea to name your document something relevant. I get lazy all the time and just, leave it untitled. Then you end up with like 20 documents that are all untitled, and it's impossible to find anything. For this first exercise, it says create a rectangle centered at the origin that is 4 inches tall and 6 inches wide. Piece of cake if you know where the tools are to do this. If you don't, this is going to be a little tricky. Again, all this stuff is in the tutorials I posted on Canvas. First thing I need to do with all of these is to create a sketch. I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to pick the front plane. For this exercise, it doesn't really matter which plane you pick. I hit the green check mark to save that sketch. That closes my sketch, so I need to double-click my sketch to open it back up. I'm going to align myself with the front plane, scroll to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to make my rectangle. Now, if you look up here, these are the sketching tools. There's a rectangle-shaped one. You could do this corner rectangle. This says create a rectangle centered at the origin. So you could kind of, draw a rectangle and sort of try to guess where that rectangle is going to be centered. You could probably get pretty close, but things might get kind of tricky when you're trying to change the size of the rectangle. But there's a better tool. If I hit this little drop-down arrow next to the rectangle, there's another option for drawing a rectangle, which is called a center point rectangle. And that'll do just like what it sounds like. If I highlight over the center point here, this origin, click, that first point is going to be the center of my rectangle, and then I can drag to create a rectangle of different size. Now you may be tempted here to just try and eyeball it, get it kind of close to the size it needs to be. That's going to be a time-consuming and ultimately fruitless effort. A better way to make this thing 4 inches tall and 6 inches wide is to use the dimension tool. Get familiar with this, folks, because this is the thing to use for pretty much everything you're going to do in CAD. This is what constrains the size of different parts of your sketch. It's a smart tool. It knows what you're clicking on, and so it knows how to adjust the size of what you are clicking on. So if I click on a line, go out to the side, click again, it's going to let me type in the measurement for that line. And so when I'm talking about a line, obviously I'm talking about length. If I'm talking about how big that line is, you'll see that 2 of these lines become black. That just means that the distance between this line and this line has been constrained. I've adjusted that. There's nothing more I can do to position those lines. These other sides are blue because if I click and drag one of these corners, I can still theoretically I can still theoretically change the distance between the other sides. So again, go back up here, use the dimension tool, click this other side, go off the line a little bit, click again, and you can type in that dimension. You'll see the whole sketch becomes black. That's because we've set all the dimensions we can possibly set. There's nothing else to worry about with the sketch. Typically, if all your lines are black, that means you're good to go. You've got everything taken care of. So that's making a rectangle. Hopefully that's pretty easy.